Ekurhuleni Mayor Tania Campbell faces a motion of no confidence today, and her fate appears to rest squarely in the hands of the EFF. Campbell leads a minority government in the city, and a collaboration between the ANC and EFF could unseat it.
But this depends on whether the EFF supports the ANC and what the ANC is willing to give into with the red berets. So the motion against Campbell comes just a day after the High Court reinstated her Johannesburg counterpart, Mpho Phalatse. Our reporter Govan Whittles and Mbali Thethani are both following these stories. Govan, let's start off the conversation this morning with you. Has an agreement been reached between the ANC and the EFF?
At this point, it has not. And the ANC is going into this motion of no confidence against Mayor Tania Campbell, hoping that the issues that they've raised in the motion itself will do the talking for them. We've done some canvassing among the parties, and it's clear that much of the work to convince each other on the motion, whether to support it or reject it, will be happening as council convenes this morning. They have a session that's bound to last for quite a while. The motion scheduled as one of the last items. We're expecting it later in the day, possibly in the evening or late in the night, as we saw with that motion against Vasco da Gama in the city of Johannesburg. But the ANC wants the issues to speak for themselves. Joining me is the ANC's chief whip of the ANC's caucus in Ekurhuleni, Mr. Tlhabati. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Tlhabati. So the big question is whether or not you've prepared to secure the votes to unseat the minority government here in Ekurhuleni. What's your strategy going into this motion?
No, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity. We keep on saying that it is not so much about us preparing the votes. It is about us expressing the issues in council, exposing the state of the city we find ourselves in, the hardship that is being felt by many communities since the DA-led coalition took over. And a number of issues that we have expressed in our motion, ranging from the collapse of service delivery as a result of lack of political leadership, the finances that are collapsing due to bad decisions that have been taken by the political leadership, the fact that we've been insensitive to the tariff increase on the budget, which is heavily affecting community members. So on the strength of all those issues, we believe that conscious political parties who understand and live the experience on a day-to-day basis, our issues will resonate with them. And for us, we are hoping that they will then support the motion.
Newzroom Afrika understands that no one has approached the EFF formally yet. The EFF saying that neither the minority government nor the ANC has engaged in formal discussions to support the motion. And one of the key issues here was that statement released by the EFF after your motion had been tabled, saying that they weren't prepared to offer their support unconditionally, that there had to be some sort of exchange. At this point, how important will the caucuses be before the motion this morning?
As I said, we are in opposition as the ANC, and part of our responsibility is to be effective in opposition. And amongst other things is to expose the issues through council. And council is a platform where all other political parties will then be seized with the issues and make a determination on their own. As I said, we did not spend a great deal of our time trying to gather the numbers. We are putting up issues in council. Let's discuss the issues. If they resonate with all of us, surely the right decision will have to be taken.
Thank you so much. That's Mr. Tlhabati speaking to us ahead of that council meeting outside of the council chambers here in Germiston, Ekurhuleni. It should be noted that if all the parties in the Ekurhuleni council, except the ANC and the EFF, vote with the minority government, they still wouldn't have enough votes to stay in power. So the decision squarely does rest with the EFF. We'll speak to them a little later this morning to get their views on things.
All right. Thanks for that, Govan. From one coalition in crisis, let's take you to the city of gold now, where we find our reporter Mbali Thethani. Mbali, Mpho Phalatse, back in the mayor's seat in the Johannesburg City Council this morning. But of course the question is, for how long? What does the ANC say?
That's certainly right, Michelle. Of course, so we saw that court judgment coming out of the High Court in Johannesburg just yesterday, overturning that motion of no confidence in which we saw just last month, where she was indeed ousted out as mayor. But of course, she's now back in that top job in the city of Johannesburg and now remains as the mayor. But you would know that a number of these political parties in the Johannesburg Council have been saying that this is just a temporary setback. And of course, they are claiming that, just as early as next week, they can expect Mpho Phalatse to be out again of her seat. But let's just take a listen to what they continue, to talk about, especially speaking to the ANC in the city of Johannesburg. His name is Sasabona Manganye. Of course, he is the secretary of the ANC in the city of Johannesburg. Of course, so we've seen that court judgment coming out of just yesterday. Mpho Phalatse back in her job. One would say, was this really necessary? Because, this was something that you knew about when it came to the issues around the programming meeting and, of course, seeing that motion being tabled just last month.
Yeah, look, let me greet your viewers and yourself. Firstly, let me indicate that the office of the Speaker had to study the judgment together with the office of the Executive Mayor, currently I will say the former. And in terms of, the legal team and whatever they have studied, it was very clear that a different court can take a different decision. Last night, yesterday, not last night, we received an invite for the programming committee to sit on Friday, which will discuss the motion of no confidence against the mayor. So that means then the office of the Speaker, instead of taking a long route that will take a long time to conclude, decided to just save the people of Johannesburg and say, let's restart the process. We'll have a programming committee on Friday as per the invite, and by next week we will reinstate the status quo and stabilize the city of Johannesburg. We could have easily appealed it, and appealing it will have meant that the status quo was going to remain. Mpho Phalatse was not going to be a mayor, but people of Johannesburg, they were going to remain with uncertainty of court processes and all that. So we definitely agree and support the Speaker to have convened that meeting. The political parties in council, they are very clear on what they want, and they will be able to pronounce themselves next week once again, and Mpho Phalatse will once again become the former mayor. And I hope this time she will update a Twitter account and write it the former mayor.
How sure are you that your coalition or those parties you have been speaking to, that relationship is still intact, especially when other political parties are saying that the ball is now in the court of the DA? Because, when this procedure went underway, we're told that the DA was not willing to listen to their coalition partners. Should the tune change, surely, one would question that. Do you think that your coalition is still intact to take over the city of Johannesburg again?
Look, the fact is we have been in engagement with our coalition partners, and we believe that I don't think they will want to subject themselves to the arrogance of the DA again. They have experienced it live. I don't think they will want to subject themselves to the same. We have demonstrated high level of respect in whatever step we have taken from the beginning until when we appointed the mayoral committee, even when we dealt with the chairs of committees. So I do not think they will wish for any type of a partnership than the one that they have with the African National Congress. We are experienced, we have worked on coalition before, and we are going to ensure that we sustain this until the next local government elections.
All right, thank you very much. Of course, that is Sasabona Manganye. He is the secretary for the ANC in Johannesburg. Just saying, Michelle, there, that it's just a matter of days until, of course, they reconvene in council and they then apply through the programming meeting, which is a proper procedure that they didn't follow the last time, where we saw just after Colleen was elected as the Speaker of the House, and just soon after we saw that motion being tabled in the city of Johannesburg. So now, of course, these political parties saying that they will be taking the necessary route that is expected of them in council, and of course saying that this motion will be tabled as soon as next week.
coalition politics firmly in the spotlight. To both of our colleagues, Govan Whittles in Ekurhuleni and Mbali Thethani in Johannesburg. Thanks very much indeed.